First, I want to start by thanking everyone for being here this evening and taking the time to attend this is our first ever elementary presentation. So bear with us, and hopefully all the information you'll find useful. And please feel free to let us know at the end of the presentation if there's anything you think we should add. We're going to go through it slide by slide, and I will pause and ask questions at the end of each slide to see if anybody has a question, and then we will keep going. All right. Okay, so first, welcome to Alliance Soccer Club's first ever information night for the elementary age. On this screen has our Alliance Executive Committee. So myself, the club president, Amber Topovich. Yes, my husband, Ilya Topovich, is our director of coaching. He's been with the program for over 21 years. Our director of rec, Brian O'Connor, and our rec and academy manager, Laura Dinzak. If you are currently with our rec or academy program, you definitely know who she is. Jessica Temple, also, you probably know who she is if you're with the program. She helps her and Laura side by side. They do a lot. Pablo Peranio is our director of player development and our senior academy director. So if you're part of the second grade program, you know who that is. Alexia Zeko is our club registrar. So she handles, if you join the club team, she handles helping you get carded. She helps the teams with their tournament check-ins, and their schedules. And then Diana Wright, who is with us this evening, and so is Pablo, is our social media director, and she handles our Facebook, Instagram. You'll see her out in the fields often taking pictures. She takes amazing pictures. So thank you, Diana, and she put this PowerPoint together for us tonight. Okay, so who are we? Just a quick little bit of history. For those who don't know, Luya is our parent organization. We are under Luya. We are their soccer program. And Luya has been around since 1978. So we're not going anywhere. We are a true nonprofit, all run by volunteers who also have full-time jobs and kids and families like everyone else, like yourselves. If you are volunteers currently for us, thank you if you are. When you join Alliance, you're joining a vast community of over 13 different sports within the Luya organization. So not just the soccer community. And it allows for players to be able to play other sports as well as soccer, even when they're doing club, because that opportunity is out there and it's all close by. A lot of it is within Luya Park for the youngers, which are what your group is. So it just makes it a lot easier for everybody as well. All right, let's get to the meat of everything. So club versus rec. We have an amazing club program. We have an amazing rec program and a great academy program. They are all three different levels. Our academy are our little guys, starting from 3 going up to 2nd grade. And then you go into our rec, which is our 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. On the club side, we don't start club until they're U9. That's not just us, that's US Youth Soccer as well. So for this coming year, that would be if your child is born in 2016, they would be old enough to join a club team. Until then, they would be a academy team. Club teams, they participate in the Eastern Development League, which is EDP. And that is a league where we primarily play with Northern teams, Baltimore, sometimes Virginia teams, but you're kind of going more north, more east than you are south with the EDP league. And then it should be on this slide, so I apologize we missed that. For the little ones, your 2016 and your 2015, you would be in the NCSL league. The NCSL league, you're going to be playing more of the Virginia teams and Maryland, teams, but not as many of the Northern and Eastern teams. And in the rec league, you would be playing the United Recreational Soccer League, which is actually Luya's league that we created during COVID. And a lot of those games are in our area or within an hour of our area. I know Shippensburg, Hagerstown, those are probably the furthest ones away. Otherwise, you're pretty much playing around this area. So for club, there are tryouts. Teams are formed by talent level. For rec, you don't have to participate in tryouts. Anyone can join at any time in their career, whether they've played soccer before or not played soccer before. It is recreational, so it is meant strictly to just be fun for those who want to be able to play the sport that they love, but aren't ready for that commitment that club would require. Club is still fun, but club does require a higher level of commitment because they are going to be playing at a higher level. So you do need to be trying to go to every single practice and every single game and tournament and so forth. Rec, of course, that's what we like as well. But like I said, it is a shorter season and it is meant more for recreational purposes. On the club side, teams are formed by birth year. So your child, if they're born in 2016, they play on a team that's 2016. They play other teams that are 2016. They play as well, either female team or male team. There's no co-ed within club. On the rec side, you're going to play 2 school grades. So it's going to be your 3rd and 4th grade is what's going to form one team. 5th and 6th, the other team. 7th and 8th, the other team. 9th and 10th and up. For the other team. There are co-ed teams, but we also have all female and all male teams because we are such a large program. Just to give you an idea, just this season alone, we have 900 plus kids in all 3 programs. So it affords us the ability to try to eliminate co-ed teams once you get to the rec program, but every once in a while, there are co-ed teams within the rec program. For coaches, licensed coaches are what we use on the club side. Some are parent coaches, but again, they're parent coaches that are licensed. They all have their D license. And then you also train weekly with a trainer, but just your one individual team trains with a trainer. And our trainers are all collegiate players or collegiate coaches, as well as our coaches. Most of them played either in college or coached in college as well. For the rec side, we have wonderful parent volunteers. Some of them even go off to get their license. We as a club support that and will help cover that financially if they are staying with the club. A lot of them, though, they're really giving their time to help us have an awesome rec program, which is amazing. And we do offer training, and we do offer trainers for our 3rd and 4th grade teams. They do train 2 or 3 teams at a time with the trainer. 5th and 6th grade, if the coaches want it, we do as well. And then once you get to 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th, they don't have trainers any longer. Practices on the club side, so yours are all younger. They will predominantly have, at least for the 15s and 16s, just 2 practices a week. For the 14s and 13s, they may have a 3rd practice, just depending on the coach. But historically, normally with these ages, they just have 2 practices a week, and then they can also attend the clinics that we hold within the club that are no extra cost. Typically finishing clinics, defense clinics, balls, skills, those type of things, and goalie clinics. On the rec side, they practice 2 days a week, and they practice on grass. On the club side, you're practicing on turf at least once a week, and then grass the second day. In the winter time, if there's a lot of snow, or just the older teams aren't practicing because they have high school, we have extra turf. Sometimes the club teams will practice twice on turf. That affords us the ability to not cancel during poor weather, and also helps us because we have lights in the fall when the sun is going down, so the practices don't get cut short. As I spoke before, on the club side, you've got your specialty clinics. On the rec side, we don't have that. We do have lesson plans to help the coaches and things, but there are no specialty clinics. On the club side, your home games, so if they're on turf, they're going to be at Ballinger, Utica, or Othello. We're kind of getting away from Othello, but definitely Ballinger or Utica. And then for this age group, your 7v7 games, which is your 2016-2015, would be at Old National Pike Park. So the turf does not afford for a 7v7 game. The fields are just not that small. For the 9v9, which is going to be those of you who have a child who's born in 2014 and 2013, then you would play in Ballinger half the field, or Utica half the field, and sometimes at Luya Park on the lower field, the grass. So it just depends. And like I said, in the fall, it's predominantly turf because of the weather. And then in the spring, we do go to grass. A lot of the teams you're going to play are going to be grass. So we do go to grass for the spring. Again, games are in the DMV area, highly competitive with your team in league play. So again, players are picked out by their skill level, their talent, and what our coaches see when they're at tryouts. We never put a child, or we never tried to put a child on a team when they're not ready. Sometimes people can have a really awesome tryout, and unfortunately, it's not a good fit for them. But I'd say about 99% of the time, it works out great and it is a good fit, and they're able to evaluate those players and see the potential and put them in the right spot. Higher commitment level, remember, for the club side, they need you to be able to attend all of the practices, and if you're able to go to the extra clinics, that as well, and the games. If you can't, we ask that you at least let your coach know, and sometimes you can attend a practice with one of the other teams closer in your age group or in your age group so that you don't fall behind. And they're going to focus on skills more than the basics of soccer. On the rec side, there are some teams that have been together for a while, so they can too practice on their skills, but normally on the rec side, because you have some that have never played before and some that have played before, you're focusing more on trying to help them to get cohesive and all have the same skill level by the time you're getting to the end of the season. And then on the club side, you're going to have 3 to 5 tournaments, depending on your age group. Typically, for the 2016-2015, you would do 1 in the fall, 2 in the spring. And then for the older, you would do 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring, sometimes 1 more. Really, it just depends on what's out there and what the coaches want to do. We don't typically do a beginning of the season fall tournament because teams are new and they're forming, and it really doesn't serve a great purpose. Having a scrimmage with a local team nearby or within our club works a lot better for the kids' development. For the rec side, there is an end of the season league tournament through URSL, and that is typically about a week or 2 after games finish. So they allow for 1 weekend for rain, and then you have the tournament. The games are also on the rec side scheduled for Saturdays with occasional Sundays. On the club side for NCSL, you're going to be Sunday games with occasional Saturdays. For EDP, it's up to the coach. EDP allows us to basically create our own schedule working with the other teams. So I can say this past season, the EDP teams had about 50-50, 50% Saturdays, 50% Sundays. And a lot of times the coaches will poll the team and find out what days you're not available or what weekends, and kind of go off that. Okay, I know that was a lot of information. Pablo, do you feel like there's anything we need to add to that before we open it up for questions?
No, I think you covered everything. Just on the rec side, one of the practices is typically with a trainer, with 2 teams combined.
Yep.
In case but yeah, that was it.
Okay, awesome. All right, well then let's open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions? That's a lot of information on this one slide. Okay, go ahead, Jody.
Yeah, hi. Can you go over the trainer practice versus the team practice for club and rec one more time for me, please?
Yeah, so on the club side, you're going to train with your coach once a week, and then you're going to train the team. Just that one team is going to train with the trainer once a week. Typically, the coach and the trainer will work together. So say if you had a game over the weekend and it looked like offense was something your team really needs to work on, or passing, plays, positioning, that type of thing, the coach will communicate that with the trainer, and then the trainer will focus on that. And normally you're going to have the same trainer every week, so they get to know your team and your boys or girls as well. And then again, the additional clinics. On the rec side, we have 1 trainer, and they can't really make it specific per team because there's 2 or 3 teams within the training. So instead, they have a guideline that's set forth for them on what they need to work on each week. Again, remember, we're trying to make sure all of the players are at the same level, at least by the middle of the season, because like I said, you can have some that are completely new, have never kicked a ball before, and some have been doing it for several seasons. So it's a little bit different on that way. On the club side, it's going to be more custom to your team and to your players. The coaches, the trainers are going to focus more on your individual players. Whereas on the rec side, it's more, we're trying to get them all at the same spot on the team so they can go out and be successful and have fun during their games.
Right on. Thank you so much.
Amanda?
Oh, great. Just a question. Obviously, tryouts are for this fall. Obviously, you're talking a little bit about spring too. So is this for a full year? This would be the team that they'd play for the full year. Or do they try out again for the spring team? How does that work out?
That's an awesome question. Okay, so on the club side, When you try out for the 2024-2025 season. So you'll be starting around mid-August, and then you'll play all the way through until the middle of June. Now there are breaks. So for this younger group, these 4 younger groups, they usually take December off, part of November and part of January. And then they start up with our indoor practices in January that run through about middle of March, and then you start going back outdoors. So it is the team that you're going to be with, and there aren't tryouts again until this time the following year. With the rec program, it's an 8 to 10 week program, depending on the season, depending on holidays and how we have to kind of adjust it. And each time you sign up, and you can request a team, and if that coach stays with the group, then great, then you're on that team. If that coach doesn't, then you're put on a new team, and they get to make new friends. But that one is by season, so you're gonna have to sign up in the fall, you sign up in the winter, and you sign up in the spring.
Great, thanks.
Sienna, did I say that right, Sienna?
Yep, Sana.
Yep. Awesome.
So quick question about rec. Currently
Uh-huh.
with Senior Academy, we have like 8-10 teams on the field at the same time. Does that mean that when it's only 2 or 3 teams, there's going to be different days of practices for all the different teams?
Yes. Good question as well. So with Academy, yes, you have a set schedule. With club and rec, you do not you have a set schedule once the schedule comes out. But yes, every team within that age group is practicing on different fields, at different locations, different times. We do try with the rec one, we do try to put like 2 3rd, 4th grade girls teams together when they're practicing. Occasionally we have to do like 2 3rd and 4th grade girls and 1 5th and 6th grade girl. It really just depends on the volunteer coaches' availability and the trainers' availability on how the schedule falls on the rec side. And then on the club side, those coaches will work with me, and depending on our field availability, which is typically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they will let me know what works for their team, and then we schedule it, and that's your set schedule for the fall season. So the schedules do change for both versus in the fall, winter, and spring, but that's just because of field availability. We get our fields from the county other than Lewia Park, so it kind of changes up a little bit here and there.
I gotcha. So, like when we're signing up for the current academy, the days were listed.
Right.
The whole team practices on Tuesday or Thursday, whatever it might be. So, when would that be determined for the rec side of things?
Usually rec, we don't know the actual schedules until probably about 2 or 3 weeks before the season starts, because it just depends on when we get our volunteers, when we get the field availability. Again, with Academy, we're running it predominantly through the Lewia fields, so we already know what we have available. With rec, they're at Oakdale Middle School, Spring Ridge Elementary, Deer Crossing, Lewia Park, ONP. So it really just depends on what fields the county gives us and when a team has a coach, and then we work on creating their schedules. So typically about 2 weeks at the latest, sometimes 3 weeks. It really depends on just how long it takes us to get that coach signed up and then get our field permit and move from there.
Great, thank you so much.
Joshua was asking, can you talk about the tryouts? How do those work? Joshua, do you mean club? Well, obviously you do.
Well, yeah, there's no rec tryouts.
Sorry.
So tryouts, there are 2 nights. It is not mandatory to attend both, but we do recommend attending both, because sometimes kids may have not such a great tryout, and then the second one, they really feel secure in their skin and they do a lot better. But you're going to come out, you're going to be assigned a penny number, you're going to go out on the field, and depending, again, on the age group and on what the coach would like to see, they will have a plan, 1v1s, 3v3, scrimmaging, passing, ball skills, all those things. It's what they want to see. So the kids will be out there, they will do their tryout, and then they'll go home after the first day. Second day you come out, you get the same penny number, you do your tryout, and then 1 to 3 days at the latest. We try to get it within 24 hours, 48 hours, the latest. We send out offer letters, the first round of offer letters. And then by the 3rd day, we send out the second round of offer letters. and you'll get those directly from the club. And then you have 48 hours to register through the Luya database if you would like to join that team. And then you're part of that team, and we move forward from there.
Okay, Sarah also has a question. My boys are born 2015 and 2016. Can we ask to have them in the same team?
So with rec, it is possible. Like I said, with rec, you have 3rd and 4th grade together. So you would probably be on the same team anyways. With club, we don't take requests because it is tryouts. So if your 2016 comes out and, I mean, they're killing it and they just look like they're way above all the other 2016s and they belong playing with the 2015s, then the coaches will send you an offer letter for the 2015s. But if they're not and their appropriate place is to be with their teammates of the same age, they would be on the 2016s.
Hey, Amber, could I comment on the tryouts real quick?
Yeah.
So on the 2 nights of tryouts, we typically like to do different set of skills or activities. So that's why it is recommended to come out to both. It is also where we're looking at their technical skills, right? Like what's their ball control like? What's their ball skills look like? And then we'll go into either passing or shooting, so we can look at that. And then we'll always do like some sort of scrimmages, whether it's like small-sided 1v1s, 2v2s, or going into 5v5 type of games. But typically both nights, depending on the age group, trainers and coaches, they'll be doing different things.
What I did for the tryout registration, I choose like midfield and forward, but my kid was asking if I can try in other position as well, like defender or goalkeeper in the tryout. So if that is possible.
Yeah. So we don't do, like Pablo said, when they're doing some scrimmaging, they'll have the kids move around to get a feel. But especially at this age, 2016, 2015, even 2014 and 15, they don't get specific spots on the field even throughout the season. So it's more beneficial for the children to try different positions throughout the season. And then when they find their niche and that's working for them, then typically a coach will keep them there for the remainder. But at this age, they're still developing their skills. I could tell you both my children are pretty good at every position on the field, including goalie, because over the years, they played all the different positions. They have their favorite, like the 10, the 9, whatever, but they've all played the different positions, and both of them have been in clubs since they were U9. So just because it's club doesn't mean that your child's not going to learn all the different positions. They're still going to learn all the different positions just like they would in the rec program.
Okay, thank you, Amber.
Amber, there are a few questions in the chat. With those breaks in November and December and January, would that allow a child to play Luya basketball in the winter?
Yes. We encourage the children to play other sports. All we ask is that when our season is in full swing, that even if your child plays another sport, that they're committed to being there for the games and as many practices as possible, and that you just communicate with your coach. It's better physically for the children to play in multiple sports than they're using more muscles within their body, more muscle groups, not just their legs and their abs. You know, when they're playing basketball, they're working on their upper body strength as well. So we definitely encourage them to play other sports. All we ask is that when it's soccer season, soccer's #1 priority. And then when it's winter season, which is basketball, basketball is going to be #1 priority.
Okay, Michelle is asking, in rec, players typically play in various positions, forward, defender, and goalie. In club, do players have a designated position?
No, like I said before, same thing. At this age group, and even at the older, if they go to the coach and say, hey, you know what, I want to try the 10 position. I want to be up top. I want to be midfield. The coach is going to give them that opportunity to see if it's a good fit. If it's not a good fit, they're not going to keep putting your child there. They're going to find the right spot for them. But both club and rec are going to afford the children to try different positions at this age group.
Okay. Sena's asking, how many players are selected for club?
So it depends on the team. U.S. Youth Soccer has a set amount of players you're allowed for each roster, a max roster, if you will. For the 77, which is your 2015s, 2016s, I believe it is 12. And then for your 9v9, I believe it is 16. But I would have to double check. They change it every year on us as they're constantly changing things. So we tried to have a max roster just because between children getting injured, children getting sick, children having vacations, you never want the team to be left without subs. So you do try to have the max amount recommended by US Youth Soccer. You don't go over it, and you try not to go under it if possible. But again, we don't bring kids on just to fill the rosters. So if for some reason there's 10 amazing kids and we don't have those two, we'll form the team with 10. They're playing 7 on the field, so they're fine. And then maybe over the months, we find those other 2 children during supplemental tryouts.
Okay, Timon is asking, will we know who the coach is for any given birth year for the club teams?
You will once you make the team. So we have current coaches, and our current coaches are staying on their teams, but we are also forming new teams, especially with 2016, because that wasn't something that they're U9 now. You wouldn't have that last year. I can say Pablo, who's on the call right now, is planning on being a coach for the younger ones, for male and female. And then we have several other coaches who are waiting in the wings. But first we need to form the teams, and then we will assign them the appropriate teams, and then they will send out their introduction letter to their team and through team staff, which we'll get to in a minute. Matt, I noticed you had your hand up.
Yeah, sorry to have you repeat, but it says 2 to 3 practices per week for club. Could you just go over that again real quick?
Yeah, no problem. So the standard is 2, no less than 2 practices a week. And those are typically with your coach at 1, and then your trainer, your team trainer for the second one. A lot of times the coaches like to attend the team trainer as well. And then the third one, it just depends on the team. At this age, a lot of them don't practice 3 days a week, but sometimes they do. Like our current 2014 girls team, every other Friday they train. Our 2012 girls team, which would be the equivalent of your 2013 that's on this call, they train every Friday. But that was, so they have 3 practices a week. But that was something that the coach put to the team first and asked the team if they wanted to do that, and the girls did. They wanted to do that, and so they do. So it's not, all 3 is not mandatory, but we do ask that everybody attend at least the 2 a week, and then if they're able to, attend additional clinics or a third practice if their coach holds it.
Okay, thanks.
We have another hand up and then a couple more questions in the chat.
Okay.
Nicole is asking, how many clinics do club players have access to throughout the year?
So it just depends on the season. We typically have more clinics in the fall just because there's more turf available and more trainers available, because half of our teams, or not half, but about a third of them are during their high school year, their high school season. So they're not training. So that frees up the trainers and that frees up the fields. In the spring, it's typically 1 to 2. The goalie trainings are weekly. And then like tomorrow night, there will be a finishing clinic. And we rotate. So it just depends on the season. Fall is definitely when we have more clinics than when we have in the spring, because in the spring there's more teams practicing and the trainers are needed to train with those teams.
And Aubrey is asking, is there only one club team for 2016 kids?
So with the registrations as they stand right now, if there are enough players within the 2016 group that we feel should be on a club team, then we will form 2 club teams for that gender. We don't ever form a team, like I said before, just so that kids can be on a club team. They have to be ready for it. But if they are ready for it, we have had, and we do multiple teams. We don't do the A, B, C, D. We don't do the alphabet, but we do form 2 if there are the players that are ready developmentally for it, so that they can continue their growth and their soccer skills within the club.
Okay, then I have another question. For U10 teams, do the coaches have multiple teams, or are they dedicated to one team?
Honestly, it just depends on our coaches. Every coach is different. Some only want to coach one team. Some are career coaches, so they don't have a full-time job. Their full-time job is coaching, so they coach multiple teams. So it really just depends on the coach and on the level of skill they have and experience they have. Obviously, we're not going to bring in a new coach and have them just coach 2 or 3 teams to fill spots. That's not going to happen. But when you have somebody like Pablo, who's been doing this, oh gosh, what has it been like? 12, 13 years, and he's got a D license, he can handle 2 teams, no problem. So it just depends on the coach.
And then I have, what happens if there is not a minimum number of players for any given year?
So if we're not able to form a team, we'll let everyone know who tried out that unfortunately we're not going to be able to form a team for that age group. Like I said, right now our registrations, we're up to like 389 total, so there should be plenty for all age groups. But again, we're not going to just form the team. So if for some reason there's not, then we'll let everybody know that unfortunately we're not going to be able to form a team for that age group, and that we recommend they check out some of the other area clubs. We all kind of do our tryouts around the same time and try not to step on each other's toes so that kids can go to multiple tryouts if they'd like.
Okay. Yeah. For club, what's the max distance travel location, give or take?
So for your age groups, I have not heard of anybody for a game traveling any further than an hour at the most. We're in a great location being in Maryland. There are just a lot of teams in the Montgomery County area, the Frederick County, Virginia. So there's really not a need for it. The only time you're going to have any kind of real travel would be as if your team decided to play like in the Hershey Memorial Day tournament. So, you would go to Hershey. But again, that would be a team thing. And only if the team wanted to do that. Otherwise, there's plenty of tournaments in our area, the Maryland Soccerplex, over in Columbia, Saks Complex. They hold elite tournaments, holds a lot over there. The McLean, Alexandria, they all hold a lot. So Loudon, there's really just no reason for us to travel. We're lucky that way living in Maryland.
Then I have also for you 10, but I think you might have answered this. How many teams do you anticipate at the club level, and which divisions will they play in?
So I did answer how many, but for divisions in CSL, which is who the U10s would be playing in, because that's your 2015, the first in the fall, they don't have divisions. What they do, because nobody really knows how great these kids are, right? At the most, you played 1 year together and now you're bumped up, you're in your second year. So what they do is they do a pool, and they just randomly put teams together. And then they don't keep track on the website for the scores, but they do on their back end. And then what they do is they pair everybody up into divisions for the spring, but they're not divisions that we would know what the ranking is. Only the league will know what the ranking is. But they try to make it so that you're playing with other teams at your equal talent level, because that's the important thing. Your kids are going to learn the most when they are playing with another team that's at the same level or better. Never if they're playing another team that's below them, especially drastically below them. And so that's the aim of the leagues. You want a 1-2 score, 0-1 score, 2-2 score. You don't want a 6-0. That means you are not placed with somebody that's at your level, or vice versa.
Okay. How long are practices, and do parents have to remain for the duration of practice?
So for this age group, yes, these children would need parents, or a lot of the teams, like I said, the teams are going to stay together for the equivalent of 10 months. I mean, you're talking from August to June. You just got a break in there. So a lot of times I'll see in the chats where somebody will ask somebody if they can bring their child home, or somebody will ask somebody if they can take their child to practice. So it's a community, and you all kind of work together, a village, have you, for that team, and you work together. So if you have another parent willing to keep an eye on your child or be there for your child, then you're fine. You don't need to be there. You just need to make sure the coaches are there to coach. They're not there to babysit or watch the children. They're there just to coach. So we need other parents or older siblings there to be mindful if their child gets injured or gets sick or needs to go to the bathroom.
And then the last one in the chat, does John LaRocca work with the 2015 and 16 teams?
John works with everybody. John works Monday through Friday, and he loves it. So yes, especially in the fall. Now, again, come spring, when the older kids are not playing high school, his priority is those older kids because he's already spent a lot of his time with the younger kids during the fall. But even like this spring, he trained the 2015s, I'd say at least every other week, rotated between the 2015s and the 2014s. So yes, and then we have a lot of other great trainers, but yes, John is awesome, and he does make it a point to get to know all the teams and train with all the teams, and to offer his individual training sessions to them as well.
That wraps it up for the chat.
All right, and we did cover a lot, so I apologize if any of this is repetitive because you guys had great questions, all of you ladies and gentlemen. So this is just our current coaching staff. Just a quick breakdown. I won't read it word for word. You're welcome to take a second to read it. Brian Cussard, a lot of you should know him. He is our 2013 girls coach. He's one of our coaches who coaches multiple teams, has been for years. He does great with that. Aman is our 2013 boys coach. He coaches just the 2013 boys, but he has players on 2 different teams as well. And he was part of our academy program several years back and has kind of grown with the club. And then Aaron Oman is our he's going to be our 2014 boys coach, and he is currently working with them so he can build up a rapport. Andrew Chalik is the current one, and he will be going into a trainer's position. So that's why Aaron is on there. And Robin is our 2014 girls. They are a mixture of 2014 and 15 girls currently. There were not enough at tryouts, and we had families that still wanted to play, so we formed a mixed team, which just happens sometimes. And she's been great. She loves the girls. She'll be coming back. All of them will. And then the 2015 boys is Dale, and his son is on the team, and he did come up from our academy program. He's awesome. He already got his D license, and he loves the team, and he does great. So that's just some of our current coaches. And then, like I said, there are ones waiting in the wings for when we form the team so they can step up and have their own team or have a second team. Awesome. Okay, so skills that we focus on: ball control, passing, dribbling. Pablo, are you on that you can see the slideshow, or are you still on your phone?
Yeah, no, I can see it.
Okay, do you want to speak to, I mean, this is more your forte, I'm more admin.
Yeah, so these are the main focuses that we're looking at: the technical, tactical, speed, and foot skills. Technical is, I kind of mentioned this earlier, your ball control, your individual skills with the ball. How comfortable are you? What moves can you do to beat a defender one-on-one? Also, your passing and your dribbling. So all of your what does your technique look like? Are you kicking the ball 10 feet and chasing after it? Or can you speed dribble under control? Tactical is now moving into the portion of the game where, what's your position like on the field? Are you just chasing the ball? Are you bunching up? Or you are teaching them an understanding of what the positions are, how to play as a team, how to move the ball, not just trying to go forward, but from side to side, playing it back to your defender, and then circling the ball back. There's also a focus on your speed development, so acceleration and agility, reaction time. All of that gets incorporated into practices, and also there's the trainer sessions that will sometimes the clinics too. I think will focus on some of that, and then your foot skills, which are kind of a combination of the technical side as well. But this is everything that's going to get that teams will be focusing on to really develop the players, and touching on each of these items throughout the season.
Okay, so for those who are currently part of our program, Team Snap is our hub. That is where we do the bulk of our communicating. While we do send out some emails through Luya, the majority of our communication is going to go through Team Snap. So every player is on an account for their team. The club pays for it, so it is going to last that entire 10 months if you are club, or the entire season if you are rec. You can add as many family members as you want to your player's name so that they can get the schedules for games and so forth. You can use it on your phone. You can use it on your computer. It's extremely user-friendly. The roster is on there with contact information, like I said before. And even on the rec level, I see people asking each other if you can help out with getting their kid to and from practice sometimes. So that's the best way to get their information. And there's a chat feature within TeamSnap, and you can send that information out and talk to the other parents through the chat feature. There is the email feature, so we do send emails out through TeamSnap. We don't send as many emails out through TeamSnap. A lot of the emails are going to come from the LUIA just because TeamSnap, while it is an amazing app, they are still developing their email side. So I'm not big fans on the email side. There is a media place, so you can upload photos. For this young age, they're still young enough at U9, U10. If you want to do snacks, there's ability for you to schedule that. There's a calendar feature, which is going to have your games and your tournaments and any other events that are going on within the club, birthdays within the team. And then we also send out alerts. We do send the alerts out through TeamSnap because those will text you and those will also email you. And we keep you updated. So if there's any cancellations due to weather, if there's any schedules changes or game changes, everything is through TeamSnap. Okay, and then I did kind of already touch base a little bit on this, but here's just kind of a breakdown for you. So like I said, in August, we typically, middle of August, we'll start practices. We understand people are on vacation, so they are not mandatory. We just recommend if you're in town that your child start attending in August. Fall season play will typically begin after Labor Day. Sometimes there will be leagues that will start before that, but I've already looked at the schedules for this coming fall, and NCSL and EDP are both starting after Labor Day weekend. For the club level, URSL will most likely start after Labor Day weekend as well. And then in October and November is when you're going to participate in your tournaments. So back to the club side, you might have 2 tournaments. Could be 1, could be 2, depending on your age group. On the rec side, you'll have 1. It'll be in November. And then in January and February, you're going to have indoor training. So on the club side, that's no additional cost. You're just going to have your indoor training with the club. On the rec side, we do offer an indoor program. So you can register for our indoor winter program on the rec side and participate in that for January and through February. And then on the bottom, the December through February. So both rec and club are welcome to participate in indoor soccer leagues. That right there is one of the few extra costs, though. On the club side, we do not pay for whether or not your team decides to join a futsal league or an indoor soccer league. That is on a team basis. And again, the team will communicate. Coaches are not required via their contract to coach, but I haven't met a coach yet that doesn't. They just love coaching. So, but I do know back in the day when my daughter was part of it, the parents stepped up and we coached because the coaches didn't really want to. And then in March is when you're going to begin your outdoor practices on the grass if they open up. Now, Parks and Rec this coming spring has told us they're not going to be opening the fields until April. Luckily, we have LUIA Park, so our club teams will practice in March, and then our rec teams will practice starting in April. And then you may have a beginning of the season March tournament, because at this point, for the club side, you've already been training since August. For the rec side, you're going to have your tournament at the end of the spring season, never at the beginning of the season. And then your league play is going to be, like I said, for club side, March through May. For rec side, well, it's March through June, but then your rec side is going to be April through June. And we've already talked about the leagues. And then in May, all of our club teams participate in a Memorial Day tournament, which one is up to the team. As I mentioned before, sometimes teams like to do the Hershey Memorial Day tournament. It's a fun one. I personally, my kids did it like 4 years in a row until they finally came in first place. Their team just kept going at it. And it was just fun. To go out there, go to the park with the team. They have campgrounds, great hotels, and they give you a discount. For the rec teams, you're going to have your end of the season league tournament in June. Like this year, it is June 8th and 9th. And then you'll also, for your fall season, have one at the end of November. And then in June, everybody finishes up their league play for that time of the year. Any questions on the timeline? I think I saw somebody had something in the chat, but it went away, like it blinked and then went away.
I can give you the questions in the chat.
Okay.
Someone wants to know, will 2015's newly trying out be vying for a spot along with current 2015 players from the year ending next month?
So we don't, it's not, okay, how do I best explain this? Yes and no. Everybody's going to be trying out. Nobody is guaranteed a spot. So just because your child is currently on the 2015 team, while we love to keep the teams together, that doesn't mean that they 100% are going to have the spot on the team for the following year. So you're guaranteed the spot for that 10 months. But then when that is up, everybody is on the same playing field. It goes strictly by, as Pablo pointed out, the different things that the coaches are looking at, the ball skills and the positioning and what level they're at for whether or not they make it on the team, not whether or not they've been on the team before.
Okay, and we have another one that says, are coaches allowed to mandate futsal in the winter?
No, no. There is no mandating futsal or sand soccer. We forgot to put that in here. A lot of teams like to do sand soccer. Sand soccer and futsal or an indoor soccer league, those are just optional for families. And like I said, sometimes coaches don't coach them. I know this past season all the coaches did, but we don't mandate. Our coaches do it, and our coaches do not mandate your players do that. It's 100% if you want to. And a lot of times the team managers will, which we didn't put in here, but every team has a team manager, a coach, and then they have their trainer, and sometimes they have an assistant coach. Typically the team manager will put a survey out and ask, okay, guys, who wants to play indoor soccer? Who wants to do sand soccer? And then you just sign up or don't sign up. Okay. Breakdown of cost. So your 2016 is $1,075. Your 2015, $1,275, 2014, $1,475, 2013, $1,475. And then we have our custom Under Armour uniforms, which are $218. That is a 3-year contract. So for everybody who will be joining now, you will have 2 years with your uniform before you need to purchase a new one when the club revamps it. We are exclusive with Under Armour. There are no other youth soccer clubs that use Under Armour. High schools and colleges do, but we were the first to switch to Under Armour, which has been exciting. Everything is covered under your tuition for club soccer, except for personal travel expenses, like your hotel, your gas, or like I said before, playing indoor soccer, futsal, or sand soccer. This also is just one fee that's covering that full 10 months. So there's no additional fees after you're done paying that. The only additional fee, and that goes for both rec and club, is the Luya Field fee and the Luya family fee. That's just our parent organization. I think it's like $10 and $25. For club, you just pay that the once. For rec, I think you pay the field fee twice, but you only pay the family fee once a year. I don't know how they break it up. For rec, the costs do look much smaller, but you have to remember these are per season, per 9-week program. So you're going from a 10-month to a 9-week, a professional coach and professional trainers and tournaments and turf and additional clinics to our amazing, wonderful rec program, but a lot of volunteers and just a lot of fun. And it does break it up by spring, fall, and winter for those who do not want to have to commit for those 10 months. Those are $175 for the 3rd and 4th grade, be it spring, fall, winter, and you do pay each season. And then 5th and 6th grade is $200, spring, fall, and winter as well. And then they also, because we are Under Armour, have the Under Armour uniforms. They are stock Under Armour uniforms, but with our colors. So it's still really cool. And same thing, those will be good for another 2 years, and then they will, what Under Armour does for their stock ones is they retire a style, come out with a new style, and then you see there's basically no inventory. You don't have a choice. You have to switch. For the custom ones, we can leave them as is, or we can change them, but per our contract, we're supposed to change them up every 3 years. Commitment, so both, we can't stress enough that players attend practices and games. Again, on the club, or not again, but on the club side, your attendance is going to directly affect your playing time. On the rec side, while we would love for you to be there at all practices and to reflect your playing time, it's not going to, like it does in the club. All rec players at least get 50% playing time. On the club side, if your player is attending practices, then they're going to get at least 50% playing time at a minimum. If they are not, and they are constantly missing one of the 2 practices, mind you, I'm not talking the third one, then they may not get that 50% because there's other children that are actually showing up to those practices. So again, commitment level is going to equal your playing time, and you want to have they want to have a positive attitude. We want them to have a positive attitude and desire to learn in both our rec and our club program.
So since there is a combined team this year, if it ends up as a combined team with years where the tuition differs, is the tuition still the given year amount?
So the way that the fees are created is mainly driven through tournaments, to be honest. League play or the league fees do vary by age, and so do the referee fees. But your tournament fees change as you get older. The tournaments charge more. So if it's a 2014 team and there's going to be some 2015 players, then it would be everybody would have the 2014 fee because they're going to be playing in the 2014 league bracket. They're going to be playing in the 2014 tournament. Again, like I said, 2014 and 2013 are going to be playing primarily on the turf because they're 9v9. So what we do is if we determine it's going to be a combined team as we go in the system, and we remove the option of the younger age group, and we send out the offer letter letting you know that it is the 2014 team you're being invited to, or the 2015 team that you're being invited to.
Okay, we have a question from Michelle. Are there makeup practices or games due to inclement weather?
Okay, so it depends on which one you're talking about. So with rec, there are no makeup practices if it rains. And then makeup games, yes, the league does reschedule if your game gets canceled. For the club side, if you're on turf, it's not getting canceled unless there's lightning, hurricane, ice storm, that type of thing. If you're on grass and your practice does get canceled, then your coach does have the ability to come to me and say, hey, you know what, we would like to reschedule for later this week so we still have our 2 practices. And that's what we do. We get them rescheduled. So on club, yes, for practices and games. On rec, no for practices, but yes on club games. So our code of conduct is much longer. This is just a brief code of conduct for everybody just to go over. So parents, the main thing is treat refs, coaches, other parents, players with respect. Keep it positive when you're on the sidelines. No coaching on the sidelines. Remember, your coach is there to coach. The kids should be listening to the coach, not to the parents. In the rec world, if the parents would like to volunteer, we have roles for you. On the club side, remember your club coach has been through the training that you most likely have not been through. So let them coach and you guys stay positive and encourage the players. We also ask that you bring your kids on time to practices, that we're trying to schedule. I know you can't always, but try to schedule vacations and camps around the soccer season. Like I said, as soon as that soccer schedule comes out on both sides, rec and club, we get them up on the team snaps. Schedules, same thing for tournaments. Obviously, we're not going to have the tournament game day schedule until about 2 weeks before the tournament, but we at least can let you know ahead of time what tournament you're going to be participating in and where and what weekend. All tuition fees are non-refundable once a player accepts a spot on a team roster. For a club, all tuitions are non-refundable on the rec side once you've trained for 1 week. On the club side, the difference is, as you guys have pointed out, we need to know if there's going to be a team. So when everybody accepts, then we're forming that team. If all of a sudden you back out, there's still that team, and we've got to try to fill that spot. And we've already moved things forward and hired that coach and registered them for that league, and those funds have already been spent at that point. If you register for a team before it comes to full fruition, and this is, we've never had to do this, but we do have it in the background if something happens, and that team were to not come to fruition, we would refund the money. We're not in it. We are non-profit. We are not in it to make money off of you. This statement is there just to remind people you're making a commitment. You're making a commitment not only to the club, but to the other players, families, and players, and the coach. And so we expect you to honor that commitment that you've made. So players. Same thing. Treat adults and teammates, coaches, referees with respect. And with that said, parents, players, coaches should never even speak to the referee. It's just not a thing. There's no point. It's not going to change anything. What the referee says, it goes. Yelling at the referee is only going to make things worse for your players. It's only going to upset the referee, and they're most likely to make worse calls, not better calls. No bullying or hazing. Show support in your team. There should always be positivity on the field. Kids should always be speaking to one another in a positive manner and an encouraging manner. Again, they should be attending the practices and the games. They should be enthusiastic. They should want to be there. They should want to go and learn and have fun. And that's the same on both sides, rec and club. Participating exclusively with Alliance Soccer Club for the entire soccer year and not participating in any non-sanctioned training sessions or soccer events for the duration of this agreement without written approval from the Director of Coaching. So this is a USU soccer thing, not just a club thing. Players don't play on multiple clubs for multiple games. It's not allowed. Now, with that said, if there is a tournament, now yours are younger, but as they get older, if there's a tournament that they want to go to and their team is not going to that tournament and it's going to benefit them to go to that tournament, they're going to be seen by colleges, then they can come to the Director of Coaching and say, hey, you know what? I want my son or daughter to go play in that Disney tournament. My team's not going. Can we? And the director's not going to say no. Now, if you're on a club team and you come to the director and you say, hey, you know what? My kid wants to go play with Billy and his team at this tournament, and it's just a fun tournament, then they're going to say no. Again, that's club level. And then on the rec side, again, you're not supposed to. The URSL League will sanction any team that has players on it that do not belong to their club. Same with the tournament. So it goes both ways for all. Yes, Matt.
Would the kids be allowed to participate in the summer camps that you guys put on?
Yes, of course. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? Questions on code of conduct? Like I said, it's much longer on our website, and every team is supposed to go over it at the beginning of the season and go over it with the players so everybody knows where they stand and what we expect of them. And this is just a shortened version.
I have a question, like during the long weekend, is it like there will be games or it will be so how does this work in the club side?
So typically on the club side, like I said, Memorial Day weekend, which is a 3-day weekend, every team plays. Most tournaments only have you playing Saturday and Sunday. Some will have you playing Monday, which you'll know ahead of time. Labor Day weekend, sometimes we have teams. Yours are too young because that would be a beginning of the season. Sometimes we have teams that'll play on that tournament. And then the other tournaments, I can't think of another. President's Day weekend is another one that sometimes has a lot of tournaments. So again, it just depends on the team. But the main holiday one is Memorial Day weekend. That's a big tournament weekend for all of the teams.
For the club, is it like every week or we have a season like
for your games?
Is it
or
like
tournaments?
every week throughout the year or?
No. So
practice and game. I have like 2 days.
The 2-day practices, like I said, they'll start in August and then they'll run through the middle of November. And for this age group, then you'll take a break. You'll have December off, and then you'll start back up in January. And you'll have your practices. For your games, you don't have your games until the league starts.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. Okay, Diana, you said there was another question?
Senna's asking, speaking of refs, do parents continue to ref for rec teams?
Do parents continue? Oh, you mean the referee shortage. So the referee shortage is everywhere, every league. I will say for the club teams, you're less likely to not have a referee. But even club teams sometimes won't have a referee. It just depends. There is a referee shortage. That's nationwide. That's across the country. That's not just our area or our leagues. All of us as club administrators and league administrators are trying very hard to encourage people to go out and get their referee license, to go through the training to help. But right now there's a shortage. Okay, so real quick, this is just, again, coaches. We expect our coaches to be role models for your players. We expect them to be positive, to control their attitudes and stay mature. and handle your kids with care and help them to grow and help show them good sportsmanship. Again, they shouldn't be speaking to the referees. They shouldn't be speaking to the parents in a negative manner, the players, the other team. All of our coaches are licensed. All of them go through concussion training. They all go through appropriate behavior training through the Olympic program. So they're there to maintain the safety and well-being of your players while coaching them. The coach's role is to ensure that the club's role is to ensure that all the coaches go through that training, that all the parents are following those rules, that the players are following those rules, and that we are there to help assist and to try to ensure that there are refs at games. Like I said, that's on the league side, so that's not really something we can control. But if we do find out the night before that there's not going to be a ref, we do try to find one so that that team has it. And we're there to make sure the league games are scheduled and that things are taken care of on that front and the fields are scheduled. We're the logistics side, the training side, and just keeping the cogs and wheels rolling so that your kids can have fun and learn. All right. This is a cost breakdown. So this is mainly a club cost breakdown. So on the club side, you have 21% of that tuition that you're paying is going to tournaments. Like I said before, that's our biggest fee. 20% is going to operations. 20% is going to the coaches' stipends. 16% is going to fields. So your fields are anywhere from porta-johns to mowing the lawns to seeding to aerating to turf rental. All of that is lining the fields. All of that is fields, goal maintenance, and so forth. Operations cover equipment falls under operations for those who there's no specific breakdown. League fees, 13%. League fees include the referee fees as well as the league fee. Scholarships, 5%. I can tell you just this past year alone on the club side, we had $33,000 in scholarships. The majority of those were all volunteer scholarships. So when someone needs a scholarship, we offer them several different volunteer roles within the club. They sign up for that role, and then we work with them to get their tuition waived, everything except for the Luya side, or if they only want to volunteer for one of the seasons instead of two, maybe they get half tuition. So we evaluate that on an ad need basis, but I can say that we never turn a player away due to financial need. We've always made sure the players can play if that's what they would like to do. And then you have your trainer stipend. So that is just a rough breakdown of where your fees are going per team for club. On the rec side, we don't have coach stipends, but we do reimburse our volunteer coaches, their player tuition. We still have all the field fees that you're going to have. We still have league fees. We still have scholarships on that side. We still have trainer stipends on that side. Obviously, we have operations, and we do have a tournament fee as well. Just the percentages are a little bit different. No, you do not have to pay the full fee at the time of registration. You can if you want to, but we do have payment plans. So I would have to double check when you register, you'll see, but I believe it is pay in full or do 3-month plan, 6-month plan, and then I think like it's 8 or 9-month plan. Typically for the club, everybody has to be paid up by the end of February. So before the spring season starts. Okay, so club information. The best email to contact is clubmgr@alliancesoccerclub.com. And then our website, we try very hard to make sure all the information on our website is up to date and that there is as much information as possible on our website. So if you have a question, the best place to go is the website first. A lot of times, if I get a question, I will send you the direct link to the website for the information. And then our social media, Facebook, Instagram. Again, Diana handles that. She does a great job with getting our social media up and recognizing our children's successes and when they get together and when they're playing on the field and so forth. And then the last slide's questions. So so that is our presentation. Pablo, did you have anything you wanted to add, maybe that I missed, or you just want to throw in there?
No, I just want to thank everybody for joining. I think this is the largest number we've had at info session. So thank you all.
Oh, tryout dates. Okay, so again, it depends on the ages, but yours are 2016, 15, and 14 are on the 20th and the 21st. 2013, I would have to look at the website to see that one. I believe they are next week. But if you go to our website, thealliancesoccerclub.com, and right on the homepage, you can click on the link and it'll take you directly to the tryout schedule for your age groups. Yep, go ahead.
I had mixed up the times for the call. I thought it was at 8:30. So is it possible to just get like a copy of this slideshow, or to email to me or something?
We will get the slideshows up on our website under the parent information page. So
Okay.
under About Us, so that you can check it out there. And then you can always send questions to clubmgr@alliancesoccerclub.com.
Okay, thank you.
Well, as Pablo said, thank you so much for coming out tonight. This was a huge turnout. That was amazing. Thank you. We hope to see you out at tryouts. And if not, we hope to see you for the coming fall season with our rec program. And everybody have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Night.
Thank you.
Thank you.